has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and the champion of liberty, of human equality. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great son, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.
Hello, good morning to you, and thank you very much for joining us on ALHAJI and ALHAJI today from the studios of Pan-African Television. We're also broadcasting live on several other channels across the country. We are on one other television station, that is Volta One TV in Ho. Volta One TV has a sister radio station called Global FM that's also streaming us live. A big thank you to all those platforms for offering us their platform, especially to Ahunto 92.3 FM. They are broadcasting us live within the greater Accra region. Big thank you to them. My name is Sena. Nombo. It's my pleasure to welcome you to ALHAJI and ALHAJI once again. Hope you had a wonderful week. Of course, this morning we'll spend some time talking about the major issues that made the news this week. Top on the agenda is a discussion within the new patriotic party that has been generated by the majority leader and leader of government business in parliament, Honorable Osechemin Sabonsu, who had indicated that he feels that the person who should succeed Nanado as flag bearer of the party in 2024 should be a non-Akan. And that has generated some controversy. And so we'll spend some time talking about that, sharing our views on it, of course. And then we'll move to the issue having to do with the ritual medals in Kaswa. Ritual murder. One young boy was murdered by two young men. They had intended to use him for ritual purposes. Now, it has generated a whole debate about the increasing numbers of people on our television screens, on our radios, offering fast money. What can the media do to put an end to things like this? We'll talk about that. Then we'll take you to the shores of Ghana, specifically to Osu and also to Axim, because this week a man at Osu calls it a miracle. Fishes were washed ashore, especially dolphins. That was quite surprising, in their hundreds. Now there are those who immediately jumped on them, killed some, and used some for delicacies. Investigations are still ongoing as to exactly what happened. We will assess that to complete the show today on ALHAJI and ALHAJI. Joining me this morning for the discussion, let me start with Felix Kwachopos, who is a former Deputy Minister of Communications under the John Dramani Mahama administration. And sitting right beside him is Nanaya Achempim Jantua, who is the General Secretary of the Convention People's Party. George A.C. joins us from the New Patriotic Party, member of the communication team, spokesperson, also Communications Director at NADMO. And then we are expecting to be joined by former chairman of the People's National Convention, Bernard Mona, to discuss the issues that we've tabled this morning. Very importantly, please share your views with us. Use the comment section. I will be sharing a number on the screens if you can watch us. You can use that number to send us a text message or a WhatsApp message. We will start the discussion within the New Patriotic Party shortly after this break.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and the champion of liberty, of human equality. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great son, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, once again, welcome to the mother of all talk shows, ALHAJI and ALHAJI. We are live on Pan-African television. Let me say a big thank you to Matambo Radio, Diamond FM in Tamale. Let me say a big thank you to Zeb's FM in Zebula, actually. And also a big thank you to the other radio stations that are taking us live. I'll be mentioning some of them as we go along in the show. So let's start within the stables of a new patriotic party. And the discussion that has been sparked by Mr. Osechi Mensabo, who's the Honorable Member of Parliament for Swami, and also the Majority Leader in Parliament. He says the person who replaces Nana Akufo-Addo. These are very early days yet. In 2024, should be a non-Akan. And I start with the man who is coming from the New Patriotic Party, George A.C., on that issue. George, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sena.
Wonderful to have you. Very first time on the show.
Yeah, it's an honor and a privilege to be on ALHAJI and ALHAJI. I know it's a hostile environment. Forgive me for that choice, but I've listened to you and and you know. But I'm always happy to appear on any platform for my party. Don't get offended for the choice of the word hostile, because I followed ALHAJI and I know what it is. But I'm comfortable here.
Okay. Please go ahead on the issue of the first issue.
Yeah, the Honorable Osechi Mensabo, the Majority Leader, Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, and once upon a time, the Acting Finance Minister, right?
Yeah.
Has made a comment, which comment has generated some brouhaha across the country, especially within the stables of the MPP. I've heard people who have come out to condemn his statements, likening it to tribalistic comments and all that. And I wonder, why is it so? He's an individual, and he's decided to let the world know his thinking. And I must say, Sena, that the Honorable Osechi Mensabo is not alone in that thinking in the party. He's not alone. And more especially when we know that the MPP, our base is predominantly Akan. It is a fact. Nobody is going to run away from that. And then pushing beyond that, from 1992, we had Professor Albert Edubwahi leading the MPP into the elections. We lost. In 96, the people changed him and brought in J. Kufuor. J. Kufuor. In 2000, again, 98, we brought J. Kufuor back, right? So 2000, we sent J. Kufuor as the leader. Also Anakan, Professor Dubois, Anakan, J. Kufuor, Anakan. And then after J. Kufuor, he succeeded, and we formed the government in 2001 and ruled till 2009 January, when we handed over power to the NDC. We went into the 2008 this thing. When we went to Congress prior to that, the delegates chose Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, then, now His Excellency the President, to lead the MPP. And so Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo also is an Akan, right? And so he has led us up to where we are today. In 2024, we are going to go back into a contest. And we will need a leader. That leader will be chosen a year to the main election or the general election. And I agree with you, it's early days yet, but once the conversation has been engendered, we need to, you know, come in. And people have started making their choices. And some believe that there's a queue which ought to be followed. That is some people's thoughts. And others also believe, you know, why don't we choose a candidate from our stronghold? Okay, that's been some of the arguments. And others also believe it's time to have somebody from without the stronghold of the MPP, the predominant Akan areas. That is the thinking, because we've had our opponents make the argument that we don't like people who are not Akans, and we're not going to allow such people to lead the MPP. It's not going to happen. Okay, that's been some of the arguments that are thrown at us, and because of that, they think we are not national in nature. Okay, because our strong, we took in 2000, which year was that? 2012 or 8. 2008, I think we got 2 regions, right? The Ashanti and the Eastern. And then the NDC virtually swept the 8 regions, right? And they felt, no, that is where we are cocooned. So we cannot go outside of that. But the history tells us that we've won 6 regions before and all that. And so Chairman Sabonsu, thinking aloud, said, okay, we have had leaders in the MPP who have been Akan people. Today, we have a sterling individual, a young man in the party who is coming from without the Akan enclave, who has shown his prowess, dexterity, and acumen that he can actually provide the leadership for the MPP. Why don't we look at him? That is his thinking. Others also believe there's a fine gentleman who is being in the queue, okay, and that it is his turn, because they make the argument that at the University of Ghana, when the Honorable Alan Martin came second to the president today, you know, the president in his acceptance speech said Alan was going to come after me. The president said that. And so they think that must be the case, right? And, you know, let me tell you something. I have followed the history. If you go to the history, the political history of the world in the United States, you get those who led the revolution of the United States, okay, the independence struggle and co. Check the first 3 presidents. They're all key members in that struggle. Go to South Africa, okay? After Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, Ramaphosa, check it, okay? Come to the MPP. The 3 people who have led were all strong people in the struggle to democracy. You get it? Albert Dubois, John Ajekum Kufuor, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I say, right after those 3 people, South Africa after Cyril Ramaphosa, any person who is strong in the party can stand and be voted for. Okay? The people sometimes appreciate the efforts put in by the freedom fighters. And they appreciate them. That is what is done. After Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, everybody in the party was not key when the struggle there was going on. Okay? Alan was there. But he was, if you were to count the first 20 people there, okay, who were leading the struggle for democracy, he was a strong man in the Young Executive Forum. Okay? They were funding the party from without. You get it? So that's the argument I'm making. So we get to a point, the floor is opened, and anybody can then put his bid forward, and depending on his message and his persona and what he brings on board, the delegates will say, yes, we want this person. Okay? And that is where we've gotten to. After Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the floor is open for everybody. You must go and prove your temerity, your dexterity, and what you have to bring on board to get the MPP to break the 8. It is going to be a Herculean task. I'm not going to sit here to say we're going to be able to break the 8 so easily. No. Okay? So whoever you put forward must tell a message, must send a signal out there that the MPP, 1, is nationalistic, 2, is a party that is open to everybody. And once you do your things well, you can rise to the top. That is what message we want the people of the grassroots to get. And not that you must have a linkage somewhere, or who somebody must be your godfather and go before you can rise. Okay? That is important. And so if the Honorable said Chairman Sabonsu, in his thinking, and look, those who are condemning him, he is a man who has been there from day one. He knows what he's saying. Okay? And there's been that argument outside of the MPP that the Honorable His Excellency ALHAJI Aliyu Muhammad, the former vice president, was a fine man. And yet, when it got to time for him to have led the MPP, we sidestepped him for. Okay? Why we did that was because the Nana Akufo-Addo was an integral part of the liberation struggle or the democratic struggle for the party to, and then the nation to have that open democracy for people to, parties to be formed to put forward their candidates. And so that is the historical harvest thing I want to attach. I would not have any problem if anybody wants to dispute that. So going forward, those who believe an Akan should continue to lead, they will put the argument forward. Okay? We will listen to it. Look, let me say this. Sometimes people say, yes, it should be competency-based and all that. It is true. But go listen to the political strategist of the United States, Roger Stone. He says there are times that you need to weigh the options, okay? And vary your options as well. If there is a competent A, okay, but that competent individual A doesn't resonate with the people, his message, his persona, everything doesn't resonate well. And there's another B who is very competent, but not as competent as the A, but it's the one that the people wish to carry along. We do in politics, okay? And in politics, when there's a leader, there's a team that will form the strategies and others for governance to go on. So if that be the case, you ought to be wise. You ought to weigh your options and put on the table the right one that can bring you the result you want, so you can then implement your policies in government. And so those who are fighting, especially in the MPP, I will appeal to all of us. We are one family. When we finish the primaries will decide. The MPP delegates know what's up. Forgive me. They know what's up. And so when the time, unfortunately, there are over 100,000 delegates who will be deciding who will lead the MPP into 2024. And that will be done maybe somewhere around December 2023 or January 2024. Okay? Thereabouts. When the time comes, the people will make that choice. An MPP will have a flag bearer. It's not only Alan Chematin. It's not only His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We have the Honorable Joe Gatti in there, okay? We have that farmer, I love him, the Minister for Agriculture, hard-working Akotofi, is also, showed his head. And we have Adenimu and other people who are all interested in the flag bearership race, right? So let's allow them. One thing that our party is done, we've reformed our constitution, and what we are doing is that when the people are more than 5 who express interest in it, we'll trim it down to 5. I believe the National Council also will meet, and then there will be a vote in there to trim the number down to 5. Then the 5 will be presented for the main conference, delegates conference, and then the leader is chosen. We want to avoid the 17 candidates in 2007, thereabout. And so I am very comforted. I believe that the people should do their work well. Whether Dr. Bawumia, Alan Chematin, Joe Gatti, or whoever, go out there and sell your message. I know they are doing subtle campaigns and co. You get it? Once it's not in the public domain, I would inform them, but it's not right. It's too early days. Look, whether we'll be able to break the 8 or not will predominantly, beside whoever is elected, will be based on our performance in government in this second term. Okay? You cannot rule out that. And the 2 front runners are members of the government. They are cabinet members, right? And so they have a duty to support the leader, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to deliver and succeed. Okay? So that we can use that to counter whatever Honorable Felix will say, that based on which we cannot get another mandate to break the 8. You get it? We must be able to point to, projects and results on the ground, whether it's social, whether it's physical infrastructure, whatever policy that is in place, we should point. And that is going to form the basis for the success or otherwise of the MPP going into 2024. So, Sena, I think people who are angry and saying it's tribalistic, forgive me, I don't see the comment as tribalistic. Look, when His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said, Yena Kamfo, it wasn't a tribalistic comment, right? But what he's saying is that we, the Akans, if you go to the north, sometimes they call us Kabonga. You get it? And so they say we are cowards. If you have a northern friends and co, in the joke, oh, you Kabonga, you are cowards. You get it? And so when they say we are cowards, there's a proverb in Akan, say, Upam uhufua, about Tonebema. Okay? To wait, if you pursue or you chase a coward, you get to see the man in him. Okay, because he gets to a point, he turns around and faces you. Then, you know, and some of those things have brought the best in other people. So let's allow the process to go on. People are free to make their comments. Let's not take him to the cleanest because he said in his thinking, at this time, we need a non-Akan to lead the MPP. That's his thinking. Others also believe, no, there's another Akan who is outstanding, who is such that he will be easily marketable. That is their thinking. Let's leave them to do their thinking. We'll go to the delegates of 100,000 of them. They will make a decision, and the MPP will rally behind whoever is elected to go into 2024 to break the eight.
Okay, thank you very much, George. George, you see, as a member of the MPP communication team, starting the discussion with us on this issue that has generated a debate because of what Honorable Chairman Sabonsu has said. Let me move to the lady very close to him, Nanaya, for her views on that discussion. I know she's the General Secretary of the CPP, but just...
Sena, you see, when I got in here, I told you that what does the next leader in MPP has to do with CPP? CPP, we are concentrating on our own. But the point here is that, I mean, I'm here mandated to say something. When George was speaking, I just noticed something. The names that he mentioned that they are potential flag bearers, 90% of that names are Akan names. There's only one northern person in there. So what does it mean? These are the potential 5, and 90% are Akan names. So are they saying that they are going to drop all those 5 Akan people who want to be part of the process and just maintain the one who is non-Akan? I mean, you cannot restrict such contests to ethnicity or where people come from. It's about competence. And now in the active politics, it also tells me that the National Delegates Congress will decide who they want. It can be anybody else. Let's put this issue of Akan in perspective. I truly want to find out what the fine gentleman, the Honorable Osei Mensah-Bonsu, is the man that I do admire a lot for his fortitude and his experience. But if he says Akan, what does he mean? You know, earlier I was telling you that we have Akans all over. Ashanti region is Akan, Western is Akan, Central is Akan, Bono is Akan, Bono East is Akan. The Guans, even who are linked to the Gunjes, are Akan. Eastern region is Akan. Oti region is even Akan. Do you get me? So what is he talking about? He should be specific and say maybe no Ashanti or Achim from the Eastern region will lead the party. Because if somebody from Oti region wants to lead the party, the fact that he is Akan, you will not allow the person. Central region is Akan, because the person is from Central region. No. So he should come out boldly and say that we are not going to allow, or it will not be prudent, even though Ashanti region is our stronghold. We believe that they've had their time, even though the Achim area or the Eastern region is a place where we have our people. We think it is time that we move to other areas. Because when you say Akan, Akan is very broad. Akan is not only Ashanti region. Akan goes beyond Ashanti region. And everybody knows that particularly the UP tradition have their stronghold in the Ashanti region. In the Eastern region, particularly the Achim area. So that in those days when our forebears, my father, my uncle, Koboduse, and all those people were in Ashanti, that was the Matimehu. That was the UP. That they moved away or they were not part of the CPP tradition. So predominantly, everybody knows that the stronghold is Ashanti. And for me, it is neither here nor there. When he was talking, 5 or more of the people are from the Akan origin. If that is where the party's stronghold is, why not? President J. Ekufo is an Ashanti. One of the finest presidents we've had in contemporary times. He is an Ashanti. So does it mean that because he is in MPP and he is Ashanti, if the person is capable, the person should not be allowed to be the leader or to be the flag bearer. I believe that we shouldn't limit the, I don't want to use the word intelligence, but the way the delegates see things or the way Ghanaians see things. It can be anybody. It does not matter where you come from. As long as Ghanaians see that you are the one who can put food on my table, you are the one who loves this country, you are the one who is capable of turning this country around, they will vote for you. You are the one who can lead and make sure that hospitals are built, that people have money in their pockets, that the youth have jobs. Your message. What I like about what George said, he admitted himself that the contest in 2004 is about what the government has been able to do. What they have been able to use, the loans that they have taken, the money that they have taken, all these loans, 5 billion and all, what they have used it for. COVID fund, what they have used it for. All the money that they have taken, what is the evidence of it? And based on that evidence, you see, elections as going into the future is more evidence-based. What did this government do? It's not about rhetoric. It's not about chanting. It is about what did this government do to change my life. It is not about the person that you even put there. It's about what has been done. Because the people are voting for a party. You should always understand that Ghanaians, they vote for a party. That this party has done so well that we think that in their own slogan, we should break the 8 for them. Or we should end it here. So whatever will happen in 2004 is very contingent on what they are doing today. It is very key. It is not the sloganeering that will break the 8. It is not somebody's perspective that, oh, no, Akan should take over from the next government. No, that is not it. It is not it at all. Because as we sit now, we are almost going into load shedding. Businesses are struggling. We just came out. We are still in COVID, but there is some relief or some reduction in numbers because education has gone, the vaccines and all. But the economy as it stands is wobbling. Yes, IMF is saying that we are going to see some growth, 12%. The growth hasn't come yet. But in the midst of the growth, they are telling us that fuel is going to go up, a very high indicator of our economy. The growth of our economy, in what goes into people's pockets, is going up 21%. And you see, the point is that as we CPP, our politics, or when we are determining the economy, is not the big words that people say. It is what is on the ground. What actually is there? How much can 2 cedis buy? What can 2 cedis buy? What can 20 cedis buy? That if I put 20 cedis in my pocket today, what can I buy? What food can I eat? Can I eat 3 square meals a day? Can I pay my child's school fees? Yesterday, somebody called me and wanted help. And he said his son has just passed to go into school. And it is free. But the things that he is buying to support the free, it is better that it wasn't free. This is somebody's words. And the person, an old person, it was so difficult for him to ask me for support. This is what I'm talking about. That it is not about, oh, a Khan person is coming. No. What have you done? That whether it is a Khan, whether it is somebody from the north, whether whoever, what have you done to make sure that I am okay? I have good accommodation. I'm not sitting in slums. Look at the slum issue. Because we have slums coming all over. This is what we see. Maybe I'm going ahead of myself, but the killing of the boy, it is the issue of these slums springing up. And why are these slums springing up? Because of poverty. And why is this thing coming up? Because people are migrating all over and coming to the city with the hope that they will get jobs. You have the issue of one district, one factory, which is a CPP concept, which is a CPP project, a program that was started long ago. And now, knowing that it is good, His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, who himself antecedentally is CPP, has replicated it. But how effective is it? Because in the days of the CPP, what we did was that we situated these factories in areas where the people can work and they needn't migrate to the cities. But now people are migrating to the cities. And because of that, all these slums are coming up. 1D, 1F. What happened to that concept? If today these factories are situated in some of the rural areas, these factories are situated to develop the rural areas, who will migrate to come and form a slum? Because when you come to Accra, when you migrate to Kumasi, two key cities that are flourishing and becoming congested, you don't have a place to sleep. There is no place for you. You just end up putting a kiosk in the corner, trying to find food, trying to find your feed, because where you are coming from is not even developed. And even in the cities, there are no jobs. So if MPP is talking about breaking 8, it is not worth so, and yet I'm not. They should work for Ghanaians to see that the breaking 8 is worth it. Do you get it? They should let us know that they like this nation, they love us. It is not only election time that they can come and tell us sweet things and we vote for them. Today, as we sit now petrol fuel is going to go up by 21%. On this same fuel are taxes that we are paying for this, for ESLA, for this, for that. We sit in traffic. And I always say that sitting in traffic is spending money. We sit in traffic and what happens? Nobody even cares what is happening. You'll be sitting in that traffic, and as you sit there, you hear a siren from behind you. And you are sitting at one place. The siren will come and pass. It's gone. Not caring that these people who are sitting in traffic are the people who voted for me to sit in this V8. And that is what we are talking about as Ghanaians. You see, in 2024, things will change. There will be a complete paradigm shift. They should rather think about how they are going to make sure that things are okay for Ghanaians, instead of thinking about either ACAN or this. Because the CPP is also poised to take power. We are a government in waiting. And it's not going to be easy at all in 2004. It's not going to be easy for 2024 for them. So it is time for them to think about what strategies we are going to put in place to ensure that Ghanaians are okay. Because the person who votes is a Ghanaian. The Ghanaian who is hungry, the Ghanaian who has finished university has no jobs, in spite of the one district, one factory that is springing all over that we cannot see. Even if we can see, we don't know how effective it is. So I believe that, yes, the honorable, the fine gentleman is speaking his mind. But at this moment, that is not the most important thing for anybody to debate about, because they have a National Delegates Congress. The issue of ACAN, it doesn't even matter. You see, you can be an ACAN and be in another party. When President J. Kufuor left in 2008, the person who took over was what? We forget it. He was what? He was an ACAN. Tamils was an ACAN from Central Region. So for Ghanaians, you see, it is not about who is standing there. It is about what have you done. If Ghanaians have enough of you, they think, and you see, they really believe in them. Ghanaians understand what democracy is. One day I sat in a trotro, and I sit in trotro because I have to be in touch with the people. If you do that, then you know, it ejects your mind for you to know what is going on. And the argument in the trotro was that in this country, democracy is 8 years. After 8 years, you are gone. Somebody else will have to take over. They said they will break the 8. They have their own strategy for breaking the 8. But they should also understand that People are not sitting aloof. Every political party is a government in waiting, and every political party is working to make sure that they take over. So, if they say they want to break the 8, then they should stop arguing about who is Akan, who is this, who is that. Even the northern region that we say, just northern region, when you enter, you enter that part of Ghana, which most people haven't been. There are 5 regions. The northerner, there are 5 regions. They speak different languages. Their way of life is different. Do you get me? So, at this time, ethnicity, tribalism, of course, I believe that if you make some comment, it ignites some tribalism. You might not want to agree, but it ignites something in people. And typically, everybody sees where you are going. You should say Ashanti, be bold. And say Ashanti. He is an Ashanti. So if he says that no Ashanti will be there, nobody is going to fault him. But if you say Akan, then you have broadened the scope so wide. So then it means that somebody from Oti region cannot be the leader because he's an Akan. I do not think so. It might be his view. That is what he's thinking. Nobody can fault him. But Akan, in my own perspective, is broader than Ashanti.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nana. Let me do a few of the messages that you're sending to me on this particular issue. Let me start from Mystic and in Sawam, who says a good morning and says it's crystal clear that Nanado Bawumia-led government has failed Ghanaians. Woefully, Dumso is back because of mismanagement and indebtedness in the energy sector. The economy is an intensive care unit and things have fallen apart. They have borrowed recklessly than every government, and he has little to show. In fact, Dr. Bawumia has a textbook and is a textbook and theoretical economist. Never again to this mother serpent of corruption and insensitive government. Thank you very much for that message. Musa Abatwa in Kumasi says the unprecedented level of doomsday that we are experiencing today is irritating. The more they give different definitions of doomsday, the higher they insult the integrity of Ghanaians. Their doomsday is different because we slept 2 days without lights in Abuabo, Kumasi. They say it's not generational capacity. Either is it a matter of funds, then it's a wisdom problem, he says. Walanya in Akwetia has joined us. Says, are you still not dumbfounded that how did we cook it? And isn't that teeming teenagers who are under their parents' control can contemplate to what extent for money rituals? Which country will you hear this if not for Ghana? When we have institutions that can't bite but will pretend they are taking action if there is a calamity. Margot has sent a message. Says, greetings to your panelists. Please ask George to tell me who his choice is. Tell him to be bold. Dennis Akwete says, by way of principle and irrespective of whichever political party is involved, and not disparaging the implications of the ethnic comment by Honorable Chairman Sabonso, I think it is needless and insensitive for any political party, especially the ruling governing political party, to be talking about President Nanado's successor in 2024 in this critical time, when the ordinary voter whose living conditions should be the focus appears to be ignored. Indeed, it is wicked, nauseating, and Machiavellian to say the least, when at the time when we don't know when the next COVID-19 vaccine is coming, when our SHS students appear to have lost cost of their education, doomsaw water problem, the very reason the politicians are given a clear mandate as trustees of our resources, but cannot deliver, and yet we are talking about election in 2024, when even our MMDCs, key in our local government structure, are not yet appointed. What is wrong with us Africans? Just too bad. Thank you. Phyllis.
Morning. Sena, when it rains in the MPP, it pours. And it appears that we have to brace ourselves for yet another round of recriminations and acrimonious contest in the MPP. Because since the days of President Kufuor, there has been such chaos whenever they have had to replace a certain president going into another election. I mean, we all recall the verbal brawls that took place in the run-up to the 2007 Congress at Legon. We all recall the exchanges that took place and how 17 men put themselves up to replace President Kufuor. So I'm not sure that anybody who is familiar with Ghana's political history, at least in contemporary times, would be surprised about the acrimony that is attending the discussions about who should replace President Kufuor. But you see, there are a number of things that are extremely worrying about what is happening. To begin with, I think that the NPP is showing a lot of disrespect to the people of Ghana. This is a party that is supposed to have won elections barely 4 months ago. As I speak to you, the government that they have formed is not complete. President Akufo-Addo has not been able to put together the full complement of his government. He has only had ministers approved recently. We do not know who will be deputy ministers in his government. There are many state-owned enterprises who have acting chief executives and leaders because no substantive appointments have been made. I'm not sure whether the full complement of ambassadors have been appointed. Indeed, DCEs have been asked to hold on, pending the appointment of new ones. So the government itself is not in place fully, and it's not functioning at full throttle as it should. It is understandable. It takes some time to form government. So it is surprising that they have not been able to even position themselves to deliver on the mandate that they've just acquired. And yet there is already talk about replacing President Akufo-Addo. It means that for them, power is only a means to an end. It is not about serving the people who vote for them. It is not about delivering on the needs, the hopes and aspirations of those who go and queue in the sun for long hours to vote for them. Power must be acquired just for the sake of it. It is not the tool through which they hope and aspire to transform society. Otherwise, why do you win a mandate in 2020? Fail to even constitute a government and go ahead to speak about who is to replace the president who has just been voted for. Indeed, I wonder how President Akufo-Addo feels about this. That the members of his party cannot wait to see his back. They cannot wait to see his back. Even when he is just about starting the second leg of his tenure. So the NPP must pull back and show respect to the electorate. This is not what the people of Ghana went to vote for. What they expected was an all-action display on the part of the New Patriotic Party led by President Akufo-Addo. What they expected was that government would begin taking concrete steps to address the major problems that they are facing. As I speak to you, the economy is in complete shambles. We have the worst economy in the last 40 years currently. We are buried under debt. Our debt currently is in excess of 300 billion Ghana cedis. Our debt to GDP ratio is almost 80%. We are a bankrupt country. Today, when government collects taxes and it pays salaries, almost all the rest goes into interest payments. And there's no clear path towards recovery in the current situation that we find ourselves. Today, our educational system is in complete shambles. As I speak to you, the Ministry of Education, this government cannot even guarantee a reliable timetable. The academic year, the academic calendar cannot be relied upon. Only last week, parents had to go through the excruciating experience of sending their children to school only to find that the timetable has been changed. Today, we are speaking about double track. Children go to school for 2 weeks, they come and sit at home for 4 months, others go for 3 months, they come and sit at home for 2 days. The whole system is chaotic. Today, the energy sector is on its knees, despite having excess capacity, generation capacity, with reserve margins exceeding 1,000 megawatts. We are sleeping in darkness and heat under doomsday. in spite of having inherited ESLA, which generates close to 4 billion Ghana cedis annually, this government is unable to invest in transmission equipment. And as such, Ghanaians are wallowing in doom. So the crime rate is skyrocketing. We are only about to discuss a case involving teenagers who have murdered a 10-year-old boy. Armed robbery is on the rise. Violent crimes are on the increase. Today, this government has had to heap 6 different taxes on the people of Ghana in the budget that was just read, because the country is broke, because they have mismanaged, squandered the resources bequeathed to them to seek re-election. And these are not the things engaging their thoughts as a party in power. These are not the things that they are concerning themselves with. What they care about is how to see President Akufo-Addo's back and how to replace him at the very beginning of a second term. When President Akufo was president, the discussions about his replacement started 2 years before he left office. But in this instance, no sooner had the last ballot been cast in the 2020 election than the campaign for 2024 began. It started with Joe Gatti, who declared his intention to contest in 2024. And I'm sure everybody knows that it cost him a ministerial position. Then, surprisingly, the vice president himself, Mahmoud Bawumia, started that whole debacle. Indeed, many people are referencing Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu's comment, but indeed it was started by the vice president. He was the one who sent out his assigns to begin the campaign on social media. And then he issued a statement seeking to distance himself from those campaigns. You know, only political neophytes and persons who are uninitiated will be taken in by the statement that he issued, because we all know how that happened. The people who were engaging in the campaign for him on social media were his political aides, people who worked in his office. If the vice president had not sanctioned that activity, it will not happen. Because I have been in government, I know how it works. You cannot go out there and say something without the express say-so of your principal. Otherwise, you face sanctions. When they started it, then the people who also support Alan Kyerematen joined in, as you would expect them to do, because they also needed to protect their turf. And then the militia started. And some of the language used in those exchanges are caustic. You would not believe that these are internal discussions. Even the exchanges between MPP and NDC activists, it's more civil and polite. You should see some of the things that are written. And it was the Bawumia camp that began this tribal agenda of having a northerner. Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu has only reinforced what the Bawumia camp had been doing. So the vice president is in the thick of affairs in this particular endeavor. He is front and center of the campaign that is going on. Of course, you will not expect him to publicly mount any platform to do so. But if you've been around long enough, you will know exactly how these things pan out. So let nobody think that Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu has spoken out of 10. He has not spoken out of 10. He is speaking as part of a prepared script on behalf of the vice president. That is what is happening. But my shock is that a vice president would actually lead such conduct against his own boss. At the very least, he should commit himself to helping President Akufo-Addo achieve the objective for which he entered the 2020 elections. As things stand now, they have bungled it. Their governance has been poor. They speak about breaking the 8. Indeed, if it was not for the fact that Ghanaians believe in an 8-year cycle, they would not be in government currently, because they were appalling in their last 4 years of government. They were appalling. By every metric, they were the worst government we had seen under the Fourth Republic. But Ghanaians believe that at least every party deserves 8 years. It is only the 8 years that Ghanaians have come to stand by that saved them. And if you think I'm lying, just check the outcome of the elections. Check the routing they received in the parliamentary elections. That kind of thing has never happened to a government that is serving a first term. Never. They dropped from a majority of 169 to 137. Now they are clutching at straws to steal seats that the NDC won through manipulation and collaboration with officials of the EC. That is a clear indication of dissatisfaction by the electorate with their first term performance. No government in the first term has performed so poorly. President Kufuor actually increased his margins in the 2004 elections, same as the NDC. When they finish the 2016 elections, they will not let our ears rest about having won with a margin of almost 1 million votes. Today, that has slumped to 500,000 votes. It is a repudiation of Akufo-Addo's governance in the last 4 years. The only thing that saved them was the 8-year cycle. As for the MPs, people could not wait to get rid of them because they were so bad. So they voted them out and gave President Akufo-Addo the benefit of the doubt because of the 8-year cycle. So rather than dream of breaking any 8-year cycle, they should focus on addressing the issues that matter to the ordinary Ghanaian. What they are doing now constitutes an insult to the people who went to queue to vote for them in the 2020 election, and they must put an end to it. President Akufo-Addo must show his mettle by stamping his authority on what is happening. His Agric minister should not be able to go to Kumasi to begin work to replace him when he has barely been approved by Parliament to start work as Agric minister. His vice president should not be able to send assigns to go and do the things they are doing. They must respect the mandate given to them. If they think that the mandate is not deserving, and therefore they do not have the time to execute it, they should simply hand it over to those who are ready to run affairs of this country. What they are doing now is a complete show of disrespect to the electorate. Now, George and other MPP commentators have said that Chairman Sabonsu's comments regarding who should replace President Akufo-Addo has been necessary because people in the opposition have said that the MPP is an account party, and therefore the way that they can break it is to get a non-account to replace President Akufo-Addo. You see, those arguing that we are making a fundamental mistake. It is not the opposition that has said the MPP is an account party. It is the MPP that has made it clear that they are an account party through their actions and their rhetoric. It is not the opposition. Why? They are called the MPP now in their current guise. But the tradition from which the MPP evolves has been around for at least 60 to 70 years. That tradition was formed purely on tribal lines. They started as what they call the NLM. Anybody who is a student of Ghanaian history appreciates this. It was formed along Ashanti Achim lines. But you know what? President Nkrumah, realizing the danger this sort of tribal politicking poses to the people of Ghana, enacted a law called the Avoidance of Discrimination Act, which compelled them to join forces with other groups to form the current UP tradition. So they were formed as a tribal organization, which was forced because of Ghanaian law to incorporate others. So if you have that kind of history, you cannot blame others for foisting it on you. As the venerable ABA Fuseni would say, if you are conceived in the market, everybody knows who your father is. So if you form a tribal organization, you don't need an outsider to point to your tribalism. It is the reason why, since they were formed, all the people who have led them to elections are Akans. And I'm not talking since 1992. There was J.B. Dankwa, who was an Achim. There was Buzia, another Akan, Abuno. When, after Achampon's intervention, there was the need for elections to be held in 1978. Those who represented that tradition, even when they split, Victor Wusu, Pawili, they were Ashanti and Achim. In 1992, it was Professor Dubois, an Ashanti, an Akan. Then President Kufuor, an Ashanti. Then President Akufo-Addo, an Achim. So all their leaders in the 60 to 70 year history of the UP tradition have been Akan. So So if this is your tradition, you don't need an outsider to point to your lineage as a tribal-based organization. Now, 60 years down the line, after you have acted in ways that show your belief in tribalism, you want to use tokenism to assuage the sensibilities of the Ghanaian. So you are telling us that if you don't select someone from the northern part of this country, people will say you are an Akan party. When your own conduct, your own actions show that you are a tribal-based organization, you believe in it. Why? Yen Akan dear, who put a gun to President Akufo-Addo's head to make those statements? If people criticize the MPP, how do you respond by referring to the MPP as an Akan organization? Yen Akan. Where did that come from? Why couldn't he have said Yen MPP for dear? Japan. Did he not charge Akans to kill guys and others? When there were some disputes between the NDC and the MPP in the course of registration for the 2012 elections. Why was it that his immediate response was to call on Akans to kill people of other tribes? In the deep recesses of their libidos, at the back of their minds, is the firm knowledge that they are not a tribal-based organization. So everything they do must revolve around a certain part of the country. Chairman Sabunsu, who today is leading the charge for someone outside of the Akan bracket to lead the party, is on record in the run-up to the 2012 elections to have declared that a non-Akan cannot be the leader of the MPP. He says a Gan could not have led the MPP. A Northerner could not have led the MPP because of the way they do their things. He is on record to have said so. It became a huge controversy. Indeed, I recall that he actually had to apologize for making those statements. So when you behave this way, on what basis do you accuse critics of foisting an Akan tag on you? And they don't know the damage they continue to do to themselves by even arguing this way, that this time around they need a non-Akan. What it means is that it is not that they realize they've conducted deep introspection. It is not that they've reflected on their ways over the years and found it necessary to be more diverse and more inclusive in the way that they do their things. They only think that for electoral purposes, they need to mislead the electorate into believing that there is space for non-Akans. And to do that, they need to go and pluck Dr. Bawumia and make him their candidate. So Dr. Bawumia will be a product of tokenism in the event that he ever gets to lead the MPP. It is not that he is accepted as someone of equal standing in that party by virtue of where he comes from. And if I were him, I would feel extremely insulted to be the object of tokenism. That you want to tell the electorate that, oh, you can have space for someone from the northern part of this country. So here you are with a non-Akan. It is not that they have made a fundamental shift from their ultra-conservative, sometimes tribal position, that party must be national in character, that at all levels there must be equal representation for anybody, irrespective of your creed, your background, your social standing, the language you speak. It is just that if they don't do this, the NDC will say that. And the defense they've mounted is that, oh, NDC leaders have said that, oh, they will never allow a non-Akan to lead them. And that we have said that when it was the turn of Aliu Mama, they bypassed them. We have only stated the obvious. If the late Aliu Mama had been the vice president under the NDC, I can give you an ironclad guarantee that he would have been president. Because for the NDC, it doesn't matter where you come from. What has the MPP has taken 60 to 70 years to realize? We have been around for barely 30 years. We've gone past it. Our first leader came from the Volta region. The one who succeeded him came from the central region. The one who succeeded him came from the northern region. So we have proven beyond doubt that in the end, it's where you come from is no more important than the color of your eyes or the size of your nose. Until recently, there was a problem with even allowing women, gender mainstreaming, equal opportunities for all. And we were the first party that ensured that a woman became our running mate. That had we won the 2020 elections, we would have had a woman as vice president. So we have shattered all glass ceilings.
You're actually not the first party.
No, I'm talking about a major party. Yeah, let me clarify. Let me clarify. A major political party. Well, that is debatable. Well, in the past you could say so, but given your fortunes lately, well, but that is even beside the point. At least a major one of the parties that has had opportunity to govern this country in the last 30 years. And if any party is going to come to power, it is either of these two. So I don't mean that disrespectfully, but that is the reality. At least the trend shows that. But the point is that we put a woman. We made it possible. We made it possible for a woman to come very close to the vice presidency. And I'm certain that if a woman would ever become president of Ghana, it would be on the ticket of the NDC. Because we are a nationally diverse party. We believe genuinely that everybody has a role to play in the development of this country. We are not exclusive to certain parts of this country. But the same cannot be said of the MPP. It is part of their DNA. The subjugation of people of a certain kind. The marginalization of people. Do a cursory exercise. Check the number of appointees in the Akufo-Addo government currently and trace where they come from. Ministers, if the British ministers get appointed as CEOs of SOEs, everybody, and look at the preponderance of accounts in that party. Check their National Executive Committee now, those who were elected. Check their National Executive Committee, those who were elected. Their chairman, their first vice chairman, their, their general secretary, their organizer, their youth organizer, their women organizer. Check all of them and where they come from. Do you need anybody else to tell you about the tribal-based arrangements in that party? So it is not the opposition that must bear responsibility for the permanent account tag on the MPP. It is their own conduct, their own history, their own rhetoric, the disrespect they've shown to people from other parts of this country. How long does it take them to brand people as Togolese these days? In the just ended elections, what did they not do to suppress people from a certain part of this country and brand them foreigners? Now, it is not even the case that you are non-Akan. You are actually said to be non-Ghanaian if you come from a certain part of this country. What did they not do in the Volta region? Places like Banda, what did they not do there? Did they not send military men to stop people from registering because of the name that they bear? This whole brouhaha about compiling a new register for 2020, what did it stem from? Was it not this bastardization of people from a certain ethnic group, labeling them as foreigners without any basis? The Auditor General, who was removed by President Akufo-Addo, in the end, was he not labeled a Togolese, just as part of the effort to get rid of him? So, that account tag, which is permanent in any event, has not come from members of the opposition. It has come from the MPP and the way they've conducted themselves. If, over the years, they had allowed people from diverse backgrounds to aspire to the leadership of this country, they won't have this problem. And you see, the problem they are going to face is that Ghanaians will see through this. The Ghanaian on the street is no longer taken in by tokenism. The Ghanaian is not pleased with stage-managed concepts. They will look at both NDC and MPP and other parties who are contesting elections and see who has space organically for everybody. And I'm sure there are many young people listening to us today. Look, if you are a young person and you want to join a political party that is ethnically, socially, and economically diverse, it is an NDC, not the MPP. NDC, there will be no discussion about where our flag bearer comes from. There will be no discussion about that. Sena, let me repeat it. In the NDC, when we come to choose somebody to lead us into the 2024 elections, there will be no discussion about where the person comes from. Because everybody knows our track record. Everybody knows how we have conducted ourselves. Everybody knows that where you come from is never a barrier. Okay. But in the NPP, as we speak, in the 21st century, 60 to 70 years after they have come into existence as a political tradition, the most important point in the discussion about who succeeds President Akufo-Addo is ethnicity. It is not about the person's ability. It's not about the person's competence. It's not about what the person can do. It's not about the person's proposals for developing Ghana. It's about where the person comes from. 21st century politics, we are discussing where somebody comes from. But that has come about because of their origins and how they operate as a political party. Okay. The disrespect that they show to others. Again, let me come back to this breaking the age thing. You see, at this stage, it doesn't matter who the MPP brings. Their days in government are numbered. Because whereas Ghanaians were willing to overlook the excesses of the last 4 years, under President Akufo-Addo, where corruption was rampant, where mismanagement was the order of the day, where high-handed governance, the targeting of political opponents, the abuse of power, the closure of radio stations, closure of businesses belonging to members of the opposition, the misuse of the law to suppress people who express dissent, the nepotism that was on display, the state capture, and all that. Ghanaians will not have patience to countenance those actions in a second term, given the trend. In 1992, President Rawlings won. In 1996, he won, the NDC won. In 2000, it didn't matter what message he presented to the Ghanaian electorate. The MPP staged adverts. They put adverts on TV in which people were saying, Mukwa yani Mukwa, but that's all. Because they said 8 years was enough. In the year 2000, they won. 2004, they won. In 2008, we said yes, the same. And it resonated with the Ghanaian. So after 8 years of President President Akufo-Addo was presented as their candidate. They were rejected at the polls. In 2012, they were rejected again by an even bigger margin. And despite the amount of work we put in between 2012 and 2016, which is not in dispute, work that President Akufo-Addo and his MPP have not been able to match, they insisted again that 8 years was enough and brought us a litany of promises that they failed to fulfill. Yet the people of Ghana voted for them. In the just ended election, their key campaign message was that every party had been given 8 years. So they should be given 8 years. Indeed, I can prove for you a tall list of NDC MPP functionaries are given this way, that they must be given the 8 years to complete the cycle. And when they secure, they are here saying a different thing, that they are going to break the 8. And you see, that argument is even so disrespectful to the electorate that no matter what you do, they will vote for you. Why? Why would they vote for a party that has heaped such economic hardships on them? The party that in opposition was lamenting Dumso is today superintending Dumso. And to make matters worse, they are not even humble enough to admit the existence of the problem. They are churning out all manner of slogans and implausible rationalizations for why people are sleeping in darkness. The party that said they hated borrowing today has borrowed more than all preceding parties put together. Why? Why is it not true? between 1957 and 2016 was about 7 years. No, 60, about 63 years. Please. No, forget about all of that. Please. You see, our public debt was 120 billion Ghana cedis. That is what we owed from Nkrumah's time till the time President Mahama left office. Yes. And we were talking about 5 to 6 governments in between, if you add military administrations. Between that time and now, our debt is 300 billion Ghana cedis. That's an increase of 180 billion Ghana cedis. So what are you disputing? Indeed, it is 60 billion Ghana cedis more than what they came to meet. So President Akufo-Addo in 4 years alone has increased our debts far more than what he inherited. So that one is beyond debate. It's not logic. You see, it's not what you think or what I think or what you think. It is based on what the fact is. Your own Bank of Ghana governor, about 3 weeks ago, issued a monetary policy committee report in which he captures this. So what is George disputing? The government that hate taxation, they hated taxation. They coined a fanciful slogan, from taxation to production. Today, since they came to power, they have introduced 12 different taxes. 12. They have increased some and introduced new ones. Today, for being hit by COVID, we are paying a tax, COVID levy. So you get COVID, I get COVID, you pay tax on top. After failing to protect us and allowing COVID to come into our country, we are taxed on top. You have not removed 17 taxes. Indeed, again, Sena, what they have done, just a minute. You see, what they've done is that VAT affects thousands of items. So they have removed VAT from 11 items. And they are saying that they've removed 17 taxes. That is not what has happened. But the point I seek to make is that their record over the last 4 years was so poor, but the 8-year cycle saved them. They have begun on a note that suggests that they are not going to be any better than the last 4 years. So there is no 8 to be broken. The 8-year cycle will be maintained, if for nothing at all, to boot them out, so that we will have a reset of this country's priorities. Okay. Nobody is scared of President Akufo-Addo. He was beaten on 2 successive occasions. Whoever they bring will be new. And our trend shows that the people of Ghana will prefer people they've tried and tested to people around whom artifices are built and presented to them for election. Okay. So, in conclusion, let me say that it is in the interest of the MPP to put an immediate halt, an immediate end to the jostling for President Akufo-Addo's replacement when they have not been able to establish a government since they were voted for. No. And 2, if anybody is to be blamed for the permanent account tag on the MPP, they should take their own blame because of how they have behaved and treated others, because of how they've conducted their affairs. The opposition cannot be blamed for the permanent account tag on them. And the way to remove that tag is not tokenism. It's not by going to bring a Notna. The way to remove that is to do proper introspection and change their thinking and orientation and ideology and create space for equal representation by everybody who desires to join that particular party. Until that is done, that tag is not going to go away. And 3, the sloganeering about breaking the 8 is untenable. And that, far from thinking that anybody is scared of them, they should realize that the people who voted for them are the same who voted for others in the past. So they are not going to be taken in by slogans. The only thing that will ensure any party's election is performance. And when it comes to performance, they have been so poor. There's not one metric on which they are better now than we were in 2016. Okay. So these are the issues that will shape the elections going forward. Not any sloganeering, which is not founded in any fact.
Thank you very much, Felix Kwachifo. So we are still we're expecting to be joined by Bernard Mona. As we speak now, he's not yet here. What we'll do is I will take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the ritual Meda and Kasua and the matters arising. We'll be back shortly.
The nation's founder, Sajifo Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him. Ghana show boy.
Hello. What are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those socio-economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. Our personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational story from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma, but still the only TV show with a heart.
Because great song, Sajifo Dr. Nkrumah.
Thank you very much for sticking with us. The mother of all talk shows, ALHAJI and ALHAJI. We just had the first round of conversation. I still have in the studio with me Felix Kwachifo, Nana Yajantua from the Convention People's Party, and of course George A.E.C., who is also here with us from the governing New Patriotic Party. A couple of your messages. Baba sent this one a bit earlier. I note the first part of your message. It says, as for Lawrence Adai's claim that non-account should lead the MPP in 2024, that isn't news, because I hear he's interested in a running mate slot. Perhaps he's positioning himself for that slot. The MPP has no business being in power from 2025. Today, a bag of cement in Tamale is between 51 to 54 cities, depending on the brand of cement. I wouldn't be surprised if the bag of cement is sold for 100 Ghana cities before Akufo-Addo leaves office. Mama handed over an economy in which a bag of cement was sold between 21 cities to 27 cities in 2016. He asked here, a couple more of your messages from Facebook. Harry there is saying, I completely disagree with Ofosu Kwachi. It was not 8 years that saved MPP. It was brute force, coupled with the underhand dealings of the Electoral Commission and the docility of the NDC that made them triumph. Sape Agbo says, Felix never ceases to amaze me. He is such a brilliant communicator in the mold of Kwesi Pratt. I love submission spiced up with historical facts. Felix has portrayed without any shred of doubt that MPP is unapologetically a can. That fact was even emphasized by Akufo-Addo by his statement of Yena Kamfo. Musa Batwa, okay, I think I've read Musa Batwa. Kofi Nyande says, Nana didn't win the 2020 election. Okay. Kamal Dokurugo Ibrahim says, I'm particularly excited about the prospects of Dr. Bawumia leading the MPP post Nanado. Imagine a GM versus Dr. Bawumia contest, both Nordness. Some people will have to change their nationalities in 2024. Kofi Nyade says the MPP leadership is predominantly Twi speaking, not Akan. That's Ashanti, Achim, Ekwapim Twi. Kojo Fiagbe. Okay, I hear you. Amwako Kwesi Donald says Ghanaian politics is tribal politics. However, the NDC should not be fooled that allowing the MPP to be seen as a camp party will ensure will be to their benefit. If they do, all accounts will be led unintentionally to keep loyalty with an Akan party. This is because majority of Ghanaians are Akan, and even in typical tribal backyards, of Ewe and Dagombas, are now speaking the Akan language. Let's not focus on tribalism instead of competence. Okay. With the due justice, Ghana is one of the smallest countries in Africa with most of the mineral resources. Look at towns like Takwa and Suta and Obuasi. These are towns that have been mined before independence till today. but things have been mined before independence till today. But instead of being one of the best cities in the world today, these towns, with the help of their corrupt chiefs, are still very poor with dust and dirt everywhere. Tanzania, Rwanda have nothing when it comes to resources, but due to corruption, we have nothing to show. And yet people think more about political parties than their own progression. Sad. John Jr. says, I think this was a bit earlier. Thank you very much for the faith. Matthew says, let me say this. Nobody should think what majority leader said is going to help the people. Is going to help Nanado and his family to support, to control the vice president. Those are some of the messages you've been sending. There are a few more. I'll try to go through them as we go along in the show. But let's take it to Kasua, because this week, one of the major stories this week has been the murder of that 10-year-old by two teenagers who are currently in the grips of the police. We understand a fetish priestess has been murdered. The lady who they said they have been having a conversation with, who told them that as part of the rituals to get what they want, they should kill someone. That lady is currently in the grips of the police. And the conversation has moved on to what we are actually broadcasting in the media and how we can use that to perhaps get a change of mind, because it is not what they have done, but it's the mindset that we are talking about now. And I start once again with George. George.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Fact, there are some things that we just Google, a press of a button, you get to know. Cement was selling at between 30 and 33 cedis when they left office. Felix didn't say it, one of the texters did. So he was quoting 21 cedis and other things. So factory price 29 cedis and others. So these are facts, just Google it. And they are petrol price, those things. And again, I disagree with Felix on the debt portfolio. You see, I love to talk mathematics because that's where my training is. And when you are determining performance, rate is very important. Okay, if you move from point A to point B, to see if Felix did better than I did or I'm doing, you check the rate of performance, right? So Felix was able to move it 25%. And I'm moving it at maybe 17%. Okay? If you use nominal figures, yes, they tell you something, but it gets the propaganda effect. But in measurement, actual and real statistical measurement, you need rates and others to determine performance. Okay? And so if you move debt from 9.5 billion in January 2009 to 35.6 billion in January 2013, okay? What rate is that? And they move it from 35.6 billion in January 2013 to 122. He's using the 20 grant because I know the 122.2 is debatable. What is the rate? Okay? And today it's moved from that. He used MPC. MPC, the last I checked was 291.3. Okay, but I understand why he's using the 300. I don't have a problem with that. And so when you do that, we are looking at 137% increase as against 243 in the 2013-2016 range. And then 269 in the 2009 to 2013 range. Rates. 269% increase of debts as against 243% increase as against 137% increase. Tell me which is worse. Anyway, and last one, Felix. Yes, MPP is predominantly an account party. It is a fact. We cannot run away from that. And we got to be proud of that. That your party base, the stronghold, is that. You need it. The NDC stronghold is the voter region. I am half Ewe, half Equiapin, right? I'm accepted wholly in the MPP. Okay? I will say, yes, he's an account, right? My mommy is from the voter region. And I have made the argument that my village in Agotin, my mother's place, when you cross half, Wodomi, when you cross half, Ghana is here, Togo is here. Road on the way to Aflao. Ask everybody. Okay? And they come, they cross to vote. And so when there is security to stop that, what are you talking about? let me come to, as for the debate to continue. But I agree that anybody, competency is important. But political strategies tell you that at certain times you need to vary your options. And so if the MPP decides through their delegates to vary the options, why not? As for what the NDC says, that shouldn't matter. Okay? Because no NDC member, the Honorable Felix, wouldn't want the MPP to be in power 1 second. He wouldn't. Because he believes their ideology and their policies are better and superior to that of the MPP. I believe the converse. That we are property-owning democracy, ideology and all that. But we have rolled out more social protection programs than the Social Democrats, so-called NDC. Let's go to Kasua. My brother, it's so sad to see young people like that thinking and craving to be wealthy. So to be rich, not even wealthy. I don't think they are thinking wealthy. They're thinking to be rich overnight. And they have not even ended it there. They have gone beyond that to kill one of their own friends. Sena, I understand that, by the way, I love your name, Nombo, and the MPP, Dankwa Buzia Dombo tradition. Emphasize that for me. And another, I thought we got a rebuttal. That's over now. You see my thesis. Thank you, mommy.
You see, you've already taken time to do your rebuttal.
No, I'm
so
not
with
done.
This one, you deduct it from it. I'm keeping the time. Continue.
Now let's go to Kasua. Yeah, for these young guys to go ahead to kill one of them, I was told the dead boy's parents have been feeding these boys. Okay? They go home, their friend, they eat. And what will make you think this is the guy to use for whatever money you want? And I agree with I heard, what is it, the media doctor, the man with the small voice, saying there's, whether is there a disconnect or something between the one that issues the license, NCA, and the one that does the content analysis of the programs of the TV station or the radio station, right? And that is the Media Commission. Or, yeah, I think the Media Commission.
Yes,
good. And so, before the Media Commission is aware, a license has been issued to Sena to operate. Okay? And so, once they have the license, they're airborne. And then the content, and to be honest with you, recently, my television had a problem, the DTV. So I moved to satellite, and I wanted to see if I'll get one of the stations that will be content-based news and other things. So now, the first 10 flips, either a magic or a lotto or, yeah, first 10. I said, what's happening? To the point that I saw Illuminati advertisements. Illuminati. To join Illuminati and the benefits, video is on TV in Ghana. So wow, that is how we've come. And look, I'm a teacher. When you're teaching, some of the best way to get the thing to sync, okay, when you have visuals, okay, and you yes, the graphics and cool, and discussions, and then practical things. When you engage the children, they begin to understand, oh, okay, you get it. So that is better and more effective than just the words, you get it. And now the kids watch TV, and there's somebody there, and open a box, and money is coming with incantations and co. And that child believes that person on the TV doing that it is possible. And so when he decides to walk to Sena, who he saw on TV, forgive me, it's hypothetical, Sena, who he saw on TV, demonstrating how anybody can be wealthy, whatever you tell that child, you know, they are in their formative years. I understand the oldest one is 18 or so. Yeah, you get in their formative years, teenagers. Okay, they are very curious at that age, you know that. If you do child psychology, they will teach you that. Okay, so these are things that when they come and you tell them, you see, as the traditionalist or the juju man, you look at these children and you tell them if they bring this, what is their level of maturity? That's why I'm happy that the police have decided to extend and rope them in. That is very important, because the moment they came there, you could have just sucked them away. Okay? Because you have been given a television platform to speak to the nation, and you are a privileged person having that platform. These children innocently, forgive me my choice of words, but innocently think they can easily, so they come to you. You are the adults. And sometimes you decide for these children. It's not for nothing that we parents are with our children. We are to guide them till they get to a certain age before they go independent and decide to stay on their own. You get it? Because there are certain points, some wealthy parents, they are so wealthy, they set up certain investments for their kids. And the kids can have access to some amount of money, and they can decide that this money can rent an apartment for me. But the father will not allow him to go. Okay? Because you should be under my protection for some time. In fact, the incident that happened shocked the whole nation. And I agree that we need to take a second look at the content of programs that are beamed on television. And the issue is that sometimes those of us who are privileged or opportunity to sit on your set, some people are watching us. What they hear us say, they believe it to be the sacrosanct truth. It's sacrosanct. It's factual. It's truthful. That is what it is. You get it? And so when you sit on TV, you are speaking to a lot of people. And these children innocently went and then they did what they did. I feel so scandalized that why would kids like that do that? Okay, take one of their own. You think you just crash the head, and because a woman or a father somewhere says, bring it and we'll do it for you. We'll take you to Benin, I understand? All those they were part of the conversation. Okay, so yes, these children, you know, are wrong. But I thought they didn't get the needed guidance from the woman, the fetish priest or whoever. She misled the children. I thought once they approached her, she could have told them, no, you know, yes, it's not for you. You cannot guess. You don't even take them into those things. You sack them. You drive them away. And if possible, try to know their parents and report them. Okay? But I understand one of the, another girl who is related to one of them, whether the dead one or, you know, saw them doing what they were doing and reported. Otherwise, nobody would have known these things. In the Kasua enclave, it's worrying. To be honest with you, I'm a barracks boy, but I get a lot of, I guess, some shivers when the Kasua enclaves come into play. I don't know. I feel it's forgive my choice of word, a dangerous den. That's what I see. The place, a lot of crimes are committed and co. So the police, the security services should intensify the patrols in that area so that people in the enclave will feel safe to go about their duties. And these young people, we parents, should also tell us what while NCA and Media Commission engage to look at the content of what is beamed or aired on television, let us as parents also take a second look at our families, our homes. What are the things that we are teaching our children? What are the freedoms or the liberties that we are allowing our children to enjoy? Who are the friends they are associating with? How long do we allow them to stay outside before coming home? Some will say, hey, George, what are you talking about? Sometimes, you know, we've done a survey in Cape Coast. I've stayed a lot in Cape Coast for a longer period. And in the evenings, I wept. The first time I saw it, people were sleeping in front of the Barclays Bank. Huh? And an awful, in front of, the Malcolm, that area, outside in the night, that they are comfortably asleep. And young people all over. And it's like, then I got to know that's their abode. Daytime, they get integrated into the Inten community. In the night, they come back to sleep. Now, with such, the parent will be asleep. The child can play up to what time before coming to sleep. The control system is not that effective, okay? And so let's look at and I agree with those who say what we put on our television is a contributing factor. You cannot run away from that. And so you, the media, in fact, it's not for nothing that I say you are the fourth estate of the realm, okay? You have a bigger responsibility. And what you say, and that's why I saw yesterday, and the former president was His Excellency John Ajekum Kufuor, had the cost to pick a phone, to make a phone into a program. Yes, because somebody was misinforming the public. Not he alone, he and his brother, Dr. Kwame Adokufuor, former defense minister. You get it? It tells you how powerful the media is, okay? Because they thought if they leave it, it's going to go and then people will believe it. Viral and people will believe it. And this day too, we are in the era of social media. That's why I disagree with the Honorable Felix Kwachio Fosu that Dr. Baumia is the person who, activated. No, social media. I got angry when I saw the first batch of young people here, they say from Greater Accra, with posters. And then, I said, what is this? He's right. We're yet to even form our government. Okay? So the young people, let the process. I think our law doesn't allow people below 18 years. Yeah, but Boster Home and Co. I'm also a child rights activist. And I know we have the Boster Homes. We need to protect our young ones. I've worked with Mr. Bright up here for a longer period. And so I empathize with these ones. And you cannot say you just empathize with the living and forget about the dead. The dead will need justice, right? And I've heard again, Sena, I don't know how authentic that is. Somebody put it yesterday somewhere that the security forces and all of us should be on the alert because a group of young people are trying to revenge the death of the young one, okay? And if that is going to be the case, do you know the consequences it's going to bring back? If they revenge again, okay, then what happens? Where are we going? It can bring about a community war, and it's not good for us. I'm happy the law, they are in the grips of the law. Let's go through the processes. Once we cannot try them as adults, except the one who is 18. The other one, you cannot try him as an adult. And, we'll use the Boster system to correct them. Let's give them the chance. It's unfortunate. Some feel they should be killed and others, but I think let the law take its course and let's protect our children. They are children. In fact, despite that they've done that, they actually didn't understand the deep meaning of what they were going to do. Okay? And because they saw it on TV, they feel they can be rich. The processes to becoming rich and wealthy. They didn't understand that. That's where the woman, I think the biggest punishment should be meted out to the woman, the fetish priest or priestess, okay? So that our society and our communities should be guided by our traditional ethos and culture. Our culture, protects our young one, right? And it charges them to be respectful. Sometimes, when we say, I remember at the staff common room in Infantsburg, some of the senior teachers who come to me, hey, George, you are the people spoiling these children. And I say, why? He said, you're always telling them of rights, child rights. And I say, we teach them that rights come with a responsibility or a duty. Okay? It's your father's responsibility to take you to school because you have that right. And it's your duty to serve the family at home. Yeah. You get it? And there are other duties incumbent on you that you must discharge as a child. We teach them all these things, right? And so I'm worried that somebody's lost their life. But the two, it's good that it's engendered national debates. And then I pray that the consequences will be, a decision will be taken to regulate the content of what is put on the media. There should be a linkage between the National Communications Authority and the Media Commission, okay? So that the license that is granted can regulate, not censor. We can regulate the content of what you put out there. Some things are for adults. At what time should it be? Yes. And then should it be aired at all? Because some children are awake up to that point. Okay? And so when they see these things, this is unfortunate that it has come, but it's also come at a time that will speak to all of us to say, as parents, as government, as a people, we need to do the right thing to safeguard our children and our society and our communities. Okay. Let the law take its course. But the law should also be mindful of who they are. I think young people. Yeah, both of them. The one who is 18, if the law permits that he will be tried as an adult, that's not mine to say. Let's get it. But those who seek to have retributive justice, let them come down. Let them allow the due process to be followed through. Okay? Yes, it's painful. Because I understand the young boy, the 10-year-old boy, is a brilliant guy. Okay? A very kind-hearted young guy. And unfortunately, he's gone. His parents and family, we say our condolences to them. But let them have a big heart and be forgiving. Okay? And trusting in the system that the law will take its course and their child will get the justice that it needed. So that it will send a message to all of us, the people of Ghana, that we should be careful what we allow our children to watch on TV.
George, thank you very much. Of course, everybody's attention will be on that particular issue. But let me just say a big thank you to Radio Kitao in Saboba and also to Benya and Cape FM in the Central Region. Nana.
Oh, you finished it. Yesterday I saw the woman on TV, and as a mother, I really empathized with her. I mean, to lose a child like that, he didn't get sick. There was no indication that he was going to die. It's possible they were even together. And even his mates. And the little boy, I believe, was a very gentle, nice soul. Because his mates, everybody was sad. And the teacher even said that they were scared to even be in the classroom because the young man was always around them. And now that he was gone, I mean, it's a problem. But before I continue, I want to go back to George's analysis of the figures, the loans and all that Felix was talking about. The mathematics.
7.5%.
Okay. The mathematics of what he was saying is beautiful. It shows he's brilliant. But it doesn't put food on my table. It does not put food on the table of anybody. It does not put money in the pocket of the person who hasn't got a job. It does not provide the necessary health care that we need. We need to know exactly how much has been taken and what is being used for. In that case, you are talking about nominal terms. That 5 billion has been taken on the market. What is being used for? It is our money. The government does not do any business. The taxes we are paying is our money. The interest rates that is being paid on the loans that are being taken is our money. And we need to know. There should be some transparency for everybody to know that this money that was taken was used to do this A, B, C, D. Do you get me? And also the fact that before the MPP came to power in 2016, there was this slogan that we have too many taxes on our heads and yet it's a comedy. There's money to wait. There's money in the system, but we are not being able to, like we are hungry. We are not able to live our lives the way we should. What happened to that? That today we are taking all these loans. His mathematics and analysis, which is very common of the MPP, to show that they are intelligent, they are intellectuals. Of course, we like it. But the point is that what has the loans that they have taken, how has it improved our roads so we don't go through traffic? Hospitals, so that today as we stand, a woman who is sick will not go to hospital and be turned back. And the next moment she goes home and she's dead. Do you get me? What has been done? I mean, you said there's no bed, we can't admit you. So all his analysis and figures, and it's beautiful, but it does not put food on our table. Number two, the MPP, their stronghold is the Akan, 47%. If they don't want them, the CPP, we will take over. Oh, of course, we will take over. Because for the CPP, the whole of this country is our stronghold. And you are rejecting your stronghold. That you don't want an Akan to lead you. Of course. Because they make you a government. If you look at the analysis of voting in this country, you see that there are Akan areas, especially Ashanti region, where I come from. They help you. Even when things are difficult, when things are difficult for you, immediately the Ashanti votes start coming. It negates everything. So if today you are saying that you don't need accounts to lead you, no, I'm saying, but you have corroborated with the CPP. I am calling all on Akan regions in this country that the CPP is ready to go with you, and we are calling on you in 2024. Please, enough of everybody. We are ready to say that we don't care. You don't care telling people or showcasing accounts that they are within us. But you are having a problem showcasing your stronghold. That you need to vary it because somebody said something. If you have a stronghold where they give you the power, they make you the president, they make you the ruling government, then you say that because people are saying that you are an Akan government, you want to vary leadership. It is good. It is a good strategy. But I'm calling on them from OT right down to Central, Western, Eastern, everywhere. CPP, we are ready to take power and we are ready to go with you. This thing, I mean, we should look at this matter in a broader perspective. My brother George here said something that another group of people are saying that they are going to revenge the death of the small boy. Let's be careful that we are not looking at gangs. Let's be careful that in these slums that are springing up, there are gangs in there. If you have a country where you start having these gangs, which have their roots all over the world, then you need to be very careful. Because the moment vengeance comes in, and it means that two gangs are at war. And we need to be very, very careful. Then we need to go beyond the ritual murder to see if this is not a gang war. But there is some revenge of a sort in there. I think that the police has done so well thus far for being able. There's another person that they have been able to arrest. Now they've become two adults. So the police should be commended. Within the shortest possible time, they have moved into action and they have done well. But they should look beyond. They should look beyond. May I mind you? They should look beyond what it's pertaining, because it is possible, as I said, there is a gang issue. Number two, you see, we are talking about media responsibility. Of course, the media has a responsibility, but the parent also has a responsibility. Because you need to be sure that your child is not watching a content that is not good enough. That's why we have the parental guidance on every TV now. We have the parental guidance, this thing that you can activate. And also, if you are vigilant looking after your child, you should be able to know what your child is thinking, what your child is doing, whatever your child is going through. We don't speak to our children. We don't have conversations with our children. It is key. We need to speak to our children. You see, the moment you speak to your children, they come back talking to you about issues. How do we even know that this is a task that was given to these two boys by an adult which we cannot see? an adult who is hiding somewhere, not even close to these two people, but who has given them a task. How did these children move from Accra, Eastern region, Volta region? How did it happen? Did somebody give them a task to go and kill and be paid? We should find out all this. Or they did it by themselves. How would they say that when they were being beaten and harassed, they told the people, the crowd, that they should wait. When they come back, they will see what will happen to them. And that is the gang thing that I'm talking about. That is an adult being in the midst of everything that an unseen adult who is in the background manipulating things. How can somebody who has been caught, who is behind him, confidently say that you people wait when I come back? It will be maybe either from ignorance or somebody is supporting that child. And also we are making our children, turning them into adults. We are not looking after them as parents the way we should, society the way we should. And it also ties into government's inability to create a social support for people who are in need. George himself admitted that in Cape Coast, people sleep outside in front of the Barclays Bank. All the loans that have been taken, can't we, as a nation, as a government, decide that they are voting a certain percentage to affordable housing? The concept of affordable housing started with the Conventions People's Party, where a lot of accommodation was provided for civil servants and other needy Ghanaians. Today, what do we see? Even the affordable housing, it is not affordable. It is sold at 200,000, 183,000, 400,000 just for a flat. But the point is that those who do not have it, where will they sleep? Where will they sleep? And it is government's responsibility to make sure that people are provided with accommodation. Because if you have a decent place to sleep in a family unit, you stay at home with your parents. Wherever you go, your parents know where you are going. They know your friends. Your friends will come and visit you. These people, they were sleeping in an uncompleted building. They were living in an uncompleted building with all the hazards, the vagaries of the weather, everything. And Ishmael's family was the one looking after them and feeding them. How could they just kill somebody very close by, even like a brother? But they did it. Because our system does not protect the vulnerable. Our system does not protect the vulnerable. Nobody cares. All the government knows is to take in taxes. You see 1% tax on VAT. This boy's mother, who is poor, when she goes to buy something from the shop, something small, even 2 cedis, 1 cedi, there is that VAT on it. With that VAT on it, and nobody cares about where such people will sleep. All government knows is to collect and not to give. Government is to put, we are not talking about free SHS, so beyond free SHS, yes, because my child is not in free SHS. Have you even done an analysis of the people who are not in free SHS, who are not benefiting from free SHS? There are other people who have other needs, health needs, accommodation. Do you get me? So these are things that we should all sit down and think through it. And also, I believe that right now we are blaming media. Yes, of course, all those things on TV. Even me, I believe that lotto will be banned in this country. Betting. You see, betting has become the game betting. It is not for adults. They will say, oh, for 15, 18-year-olds and beyond. Go to a betting place right now. You find 14 years, 15-year-olds, and there is no monitoring. The point is also that our systems are not working. Ghana, our biggest problem is enforcement. They will put it there, oh, 18 years and above. But you go in there, you find young children betting. The way we even glorify the lottos and the betting, it is as if I mean, that is what will make you rich. You don't even glorify hard work. When you are doing work, you are working hard, people will tell you that, the society will tell you that, oh, you are wasting your time. Oh, you are being slow. Now, another form of betting is politics. Quick money. When you are in politics, you should get money plenty quick. You get me? So we need to make sure that systems in our country works. All these people on radio, on TV, advertising juju, now he's even adding Illuminati and advertising, make money quick and all that. Do we have to wait for somebody to kill somebody before we sit up and talk? In Ghana here, by next week, another topic will come and we'll forget about this one. And nothing will be done about it. I think it's high time we made sure that we enforce our laws. I think it is high time we made sure that our children are protected. Also, the question of values. I remember when we were kids, as children, they say we shouldn't say kids, as children, we used to read this book, Courtesy for Boys and Girls. In that book, it taught you how to behave, how to act, and how to go about life and things, and how to go about things. These days, you meet a young person, they will not even greet you. And even when you greet them, they won't even respond. I've heard there's a car called Bugatti or whatever. Yes, all the young ones want it. Social media. We shouldn't only think about or concentrate on these people advertising the juju and whatever. We should also look at social media. The kind of lifestyle people lead on social media. They flaunt all manner of wealth on social media. And sometimes, I mean, it is fake. Somebody will be standing by a car, you find somebody's car or do a Photoshop and put it on social media. And these children have access to social media. They look at all these things. And nobody is controlling. As they hold their phone, they are flipping through. Even if they don't have Wi-Fi, they have band, they have data. Everybody now, they have phone. Nobody is checking them. A mother or father will not pick a child's phone because there is a password on it. You cannot open it. They have phones. They have access to go anywhere they want. And because of that, these things are going. It is a very, very sad incident. I mean, to think that a young boy of 18 years will be so brutish in their stead and in their mind to hit the head of a human being with a piece of block, cement block, with a view. Who told that? You see, I don't think that we should let the adults go scot-free. Who told that young boy that if you hit this person with a cement block, the person will die? Who told them to do it that way? Somebody actually asked them to do it that way. You see, sometimes it is so sad how our young people are vulnerable, and especially our boys. Especially, I think we should start looking at our boys seriously. There is a problem. They are not doing well in school. They are unhappy about everything that they do. We should have to look at them. And I am talking about the men, and people are saying, oh, the men should start being responsible. They should start getting close to their children. And the whole nation, we started, oh, send your girl child to school. The girl child is there. It is time for us to look at the boy child. And it is time to us to wage a campaign, Ministry of Gender. Gender means boy and girl, it's not only girl. It is time for us to all to wage a campaign to save the boy. Not the boy, even the men should be saved. Because you see, me, I have sons. Men are very vulnerable. Of course, we are talking about Beijing, we are talking about women empowerment, but men are vulnerable. And it is how we treat them, the way they will react to us. It is time that we start looking after our men, our male species, before we lose them. Because in the US, the black male species has been lost to prison because of some of these crimes, because of the vulnerability. You see, God created these men. A man, God created the man first. But as God stood there, what did he say? He said, this one cannot be alone. We have forgotten about it. This one cannot be alone. Meaning that we should start targeting our boys. We should start mentoring them. We should start teaching them some values. You should start making them feel that they are also part of the society. They have too much on them. Especially, I believe, I don't know whether, as it's going on, I haven't heard about a father. You've heard about a mother. And it is possible this child or these two boys are from a single parent background. And that is a difficult area. It's a difficult phase. And as we are in this country, there is no social safety net for such people. When you go outside, we are always, George is sitting here comparing America and this. Why, when it comes to social safety net, you should also compare America and all those places. The loans that we are taking, we should dedicate some to ensure that the vulnerable in society are looked after. If a young man sees that their mother, who is a single parent, is struggling, they think it is their responsibility to ensure that some money comes to the home. And if such a person hasn't got anybody to mentor him, and they talk to friends, they talk to adults, they talk to everybody, they decide to put the responsibility on themselves. And how they do it, it does not matter. In this area, I believe government had failed to create a social safety net for the vulnerable in society. The Ministry of Social Welfare, Social Protection, they should go into it and start strategizing, mapping out, have a clear roadmap as to how to deal with people. Such people who need help, who really need help. You see, it also ties into poverty. It also ties into the government not finding jobs for people to do. Most of these slums that are springing up, and it is all over. We should not only look at Kaswa, we should look at all over and see what is happening in there. Because people are migrating from other regions to be in Accra to find jobs, non-existent jobs. So when they come and they are unable to find these jobs, what then happens? They end up in these slums and they end up in crime because they need to do what? To survive. And government has failed. We are taking loans. We don't know what we are using the loans for. And we are also paying the loans. And a section of our society are suffering. Let's assume that these slums that are coming up, the people one day revolt and decide that they are going for their own because they think that some people are wealthy and they are poor. What will happen? There will be total chaos and there will be total disorder. I do believe that there should be a system where even young boys are taught about our penal system. There's a program in the US where young boys are taken to prison to look at what happens in there. That if you engage in crime, this is where you end up. You see, that young boy, when he was going, he said that when he comes back, it's possible somebody has told him that even when you get into trouble, I'll get you out. It is when he enters the remand, that place called remand, that is prison. That is where it will dawn on him that he has made a mistake. It will be too late. So it is time that we even taught our children that if you engage in a crime, you end up here. We should open our prisons for people to come and tell. There's a program on TV, Massam, but that is not enough. We should let our young boys enter these prisons to see exactly what will happen to you if you engage in crime. And I think that we should allow the law to take its course. People who are asking that the children should be hanged, we have laws in this country that will deal with the issue. But the adults that are involved, I believe that they should get a higher and stiffer punishment than the younger ones. The younger ones who grew up one day in prison and come to realize that what they did was wrong. They will come, they will change, they will turn around and maybe become better citizens in the future. As for prison, they will taste it. It is unfortunate. But I believe that those older ones, and they should go further to find out the people who are actually behind it, so that at the end of the day, we can uproot this kind of canker which is springing up in our society.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nana. Tahiru Lawal disagrees with George's mathematics. He calls it disingenuous. Tahiru says you should know that 50% of 100 is not equal to 50% of 70. Says besides, we are talking about economics, not mathematics. Well, well, a couple of messages. This one was from Frank Goka, who is in the US. And I am disappointed in part of Felix's submission. Is he saying Anado indeed won the 2020 election fairly? And then another one is from Diote Wiankaso. Says Felix's submission seems to suggest that MPP won the 2020 election. I'm disappointed. Habib says what Che Mensah-Bonsu was suggesting about the non-Akan to lead the MPP is undemocratic and must be treated with the contempt it deserves. Every Ghanaian knows MPP, okay, it's the tribal party. If you're not an Akan, we all know how they see you. To end, we all know what Osafo Mako said about non-Akan ruling Ghana. So we know. Please, COVID-19 tax increases tariff in electricity and water hardship everywhere. So please, MP should know the hardship we the people are going through is as a result of their corruption. That's from Habib. Okay. This is from Sedo, who says Daybreak. Kindly let the MPP know. Let the MPP know that percentage change from baseline is too weak for statistical analysis. Okay. Ambassador Sampiale says if the governing philosophy is property owning and pastors are preaching prosperity instead of salvation, what will our youth aspire to? Kojo Chumbo also sent a message earlier. First, he is excited by Nana saying that she takes trotro, and then goes on to say those children who wanted to become adults by making money overnight should be tried like adults. I cannot imagine what the parents of the boy are going through. And he is not excited about the fact that George is talking about a big heart. Says you have kids. If your kid had been mindlessly murdered like that, would you have had a big heart? Okay. Phyllis.
I'll speak to the Kaswa murder incident presently. But before I do, it is important to clear a few misleading claims made by George. You see, what George doubled in regarding our debt position is the usual sophistry with which the MPP has approached that subject. And that approach is led by no less a person than Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, who happens to be the head of the economic management team. Now, it is not surprising that he would engage in that approach because nobody takes more responsibility for misleading economic analysis than him. And as head of the economic management team, the catastrophic economic output of this government can be heaped squarely at his doorstep. And we all recall his rhetoric in the run-up to the 2016 elections. So, having come into government, he's been found out as somebody who said things that he did not believe in. His criticism of the NDC regarding our debt position has been found to be completely baseless, given his own woeful performance as head of the economic management team. It is a reason why, when you expose them with the facts, they come up with all these bizarre arguments about rate. You see, there's a famous American professor of business and economics. He's called Aaron Livingston, and he has a very famous saying. He says that statistics are like bikinis. You know, what they reveal is very suggestive, but what they conceal is vital. So when the MPP engages in what they claim to be an analysis of rate of change in our debt position, they are attempting to conceal the real facts by putting out what appears to be suggestive. That is what they are doing. You see, when you come to analyze debt, there's something called DSA, Debt Sustainability Analysis. That is how you analyze debt. So the maths that George says he is using is completely irrelevant to that analysis. Rate has no place. Indeed, if you doubt me, check page 13 of the MPP manifesto. They were clear that they will reduce borrowing. There was no mention of rate of borrowing. They said they will reduce borrowing. Oh, let me make my point, please. So I'm going to show you how you measure debt.
Thank you.
There are three things. If you go to the IMF, the World Bank, the International Financial Markets to borrow, they will look at three things. They will look at your debt figure, that is the figure, the nominal figure. They will look at your debt to GDP ratio. In other words, if all your debt was to be compared to your GDP, what percentage would you be at? The third thing they will look at is the amount of revenue you use to service your debt. That is tax to debt servicing ratio. Those are the three things. On all three scores, the MPP has been appalling. It is because of that that they have invented this rate thing. So let me repeat the figures so that the debate is settled. 1, the debt figure for 2016 is 120 billion Ghana cedis. Indeed, the reason why I use 120 billion is that the first time President Akufo-Addo mentioned the debt was in March of 2017 during his State of the Nation address. But in Ghana, our financial year ends in December. So you use the exchange rate at the time to determine your debt. So if the debt is quoted in dollars, you multiply it by the exchange rate of the time to get the CD equivalent. If you did that, as of 2016, December 31st, it was 120 billion. In fact, this is captured in the Auditor General's report for 2017. So it is settled. The 122 comes about because by the time we got to March, the CD had depreciated. And we in the NDC could not have borne responsibility for that. It was the MPP that bears responsibility. So you can't use that figure to assess us. It's captured in the Auditor General's report, and he is the authority on government accounts. The Controller General also has the same figure because he is the authority on government accounts. If you go to the Ministry of Finance, they have a debt management division. Their report shows the same figure. So there's no dispute about it. Now, if that figure moves to 300 billion, and I use 300 billion because just last week or the week before, let me make the point. Let me make the point. Oh, but John, you had the opportunity.
He is using his time for that.
You see, you had the opportunity. No, but you had the opportunity and you let him go. You sought to rebut what I said. So I'm putting it back in perspective. Now, I said 300 billion because they've recently gone to the market to borrow $3 billion, which translates to almost 18 billion Ghana cedis. Now, some of it will use to do rollover. That is maturing debt that they will replace. But some of it will go into budget support. The one that goes into budget support, you count as part of the debt. The one that merely replaces debt, you don't use. So, conservatively, another 9 to 10 billion Ghana cedis has been added to our debt. That's why I used the 300 billion Ghana cedi figure, in addition to what the MPC put out. Now, 300 minus 120 is 180 billion. 180 billion is bigger than 120 billion. There's no dispute about it. There's no kind of mathematical theorem that can say that 1 plus 1 is 4. 1 plus 1 is 2, irrespective of who is doing the addition. So 180 billion is bigger than 120 billion, period. The second point is that when you come to debt to GDP ratio, that is what any investor that you are going to borrow from, any financial institution that you are dealing with will look at when you come to borrow. It is one of the most critical, if not the most critical, of all the indicators that you use. Now, in 2016, our debt was 120 billion. Our total GDP was 215 billion Ghana cedis. So, 120 divided by 215 multiplied by 100, it gives you 56.1%. So that was our debt to GDP ratio. The NPP can say they have done better than us if they reduce that or increase that marginally. As I speak to you, our debt to GDP ratio is almost 80 billion Ghana cedis. Indeed, the international benchmark, what the IMF World Bank uses to assess your debt sustainability, is below 70%. If your debt to GDP ratio is below 70%, they will say you are safe. In fact, once it crosses 60, they begin to raise the red flags. But once it crosses 70, your debt is not sustainable. You are bankrupt. You are HIPIC. As I speak to you, it is 80 billion Ghana cedis. Sorry, 80%.
80%.
Now, is 80% better than 56.1%?
When did it get to 80?
But you've borrowed recently. Yes, you've borrowed recently, so it adds up to it. You've borrowed recently, so it adds up to it.
Are you guys redirecting the discussion?
No, we are not. But no, we are not. We are not. You made a no. You see, you see. But you have made your analysis. So the issues have to be put into proper perspective.
Thank you.
So there's not a single metric on our debt that is better now than it was. The last one.
You know the reason.
The last one, which is the amount of tax revenue that you use to service your debt. When we were leaving power in 2016, we used about $15 billion. 15 billion Ghana cedis, I beg your pardon. Today, they are going to use about 25 billion Ghana cedis to do that. Sorry, 35 billion Ghana cedis to do that. 35 billion. Meanwhile, all the revenue they project to earn this year is 72 billion Ghana cedis. So almost half of all taxes collected will be used to service our debt. That position cannot be better than what they inherited in 2016. What? There was no hole. There was no hole. You didn't come to meet any hole. If your debt to GDP ratio is 56%, it gives you room to even borrow more. So on all three metrics, the MPP's record is appalling. And Dr. Baumia is responsible for this appalling state of affairs. Indeed, the reason why they have invented that rate of borrowing thing is to confuse people who do not appreciate these matters. First of all, the rate is a function of what you call a denominator. A denominator is the thing by which you are dividing the amount. So 1/2. 2 is the denominator. Further borrowings in terms of percentage, in actual fact and value, they are bigger. An example, if you leave me 10 billion Ghana cedis in debt, and I borrow 10 billion Ghana cedis in addition, if I do the percentages, 100% increase. However, the debt becomes 20 billion. If I leave and he goes to borrow 15 billion, 15 billion is 75% of 20 billion. But 15 billion is bigger than 10 billion. So who has had more money, George or myself?
No.
That is it.
No.
It's the same. That is no. So Sena, that is why. Listen.
Value of money.
Yes, but the value. Yeah, but the value of 180 billion is not smaller than the value of 120 billion. I don't know by what conversion rate you are using. You understand me? 180 billion is not smaller than 120 billion in terms of value. In terms of value, it's not smaller. But you see, nobody will come to Ghana and analyze our debt.
Let's go to cash.
And analyze our debt on the basis of rate of change. That rate of change is an invention. It is to confuse people who do not appreciate economics and mathematics. But Sena, the fact of the matter is that they have borrowed more than all other governments put together. And for that reason, they have violated their sacred promise contained in page 13 of their manifesto that they were going to read. Now, all the noise that Baumia made about borrowing was just that, noise. And that he did not mean a word of what he said. He did not possess any capacity, any capability, any extraordinary ability beyond what he was criticizing. In government, what interest? Master, we are talking about debt.
Okay.
Macro.
What's macro indicator?
Okay, Phyllis.
You promise to grow.
George, Phyllis. Phyllis.
I know.
But we are talking about.
Please land for me and move to Kaswa, because if not, you will do something else.
Again. Listen. No, he says that. Look. Just one thing. Growth rate. Check page 13 of the manifesto again. They promised to grow by 10% annually between 2017 to 2020.
Exigencies of the time.
Time COVID hit, we were declining 6%. No, you were not averaging 7. 2007, because of oil growth, and 80.3% growth in oil production, which you had nothing to do with. You inherited it. You grew by 8.1%. The following year, you started dipping. So you didn't meet the promise you made of growing by 10%. This year or last year, it doesn't matter. But we averaged 9% in that period. 9% in that period. So Sena, The point is that their management of the economy has been poor. It has been the worst in terms of the figures in the last 40 years. That is a fact. So you don't attempt to mislead people with sophistry when the facts show otherwise. It is not. You cannot tell me that our debt position is better than what you inherited. It is not true. Nobody will believe that thing because the facts are clear. Okay. Now regarding the incident at Kaswa, it's a most tragic development. I mean, imagine how if I had a 10-year-old son and he was murdered under such circumstances, I would ever be able to understand anything that I'm told beyond bringing the boy back to life. I simply cannot imagine myself in that kind of situation. So one must really feel for the parents and loved ones of this boy, innocent boy who has been murdered in such tragic circumstances. What makes it even more painful is the circumstance, the flippancy of the reason for he was murdered. It did not appear that those who committed the murder appreciated what. That's what makes it even more painful. So basically, he has died for nothing, at all, nothing. So you have 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds thinking that by committing this act, they will set themselves on the path to riches. And it's a deeply worrying phenomenon because you want to ask, exactly what is a 16 or 17-year-old going to do with the money that they are looking for? What does he need the money for? Such that he will be prepared to go to such extraordinary lengths to acquire it. What is it about our society that has made it possible for people of that tender age to want to commit ritual murder? Indeed, the most infamous ritual murder incident is a coefficient one in the early 90s or late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Since then, I stand to be corrected, but I have not heard of any other case of ritual murder that has gained that sort of profile. But this one is extraordinary. At least in the coefficient case, we knew that these were established individuals who were engaged in that horrible, horrendous practice. But somehow it appears that we were able to get on top of that and it's reduced. It all but disappeared from our society. But this one is most shocking. Most shocking. Completely unexpected and extremely tragic. So I can only commiserate with the family that has lost this 10-year-old boy and extend my deepest condolences for such a loss. A promising boy about whom everybody seems to speak well. We are told that he's well behaved, very friendly, outgoing person. And he was actually friends with the individuals who committed this heinous crime. But it is also important to caution against premature judgment on this matter and comments that could prejudice the investigation and even its outcome. Because already fingers are being pointed at some fetish piece and all that. There's a reason why a certain procedure is established for unraveling these matters. I think that we are better off allowing the security agencies to do their work. Of course, we can bring pressure to bear on them to do it transparently and in accordance with Ghanaian law. So I'm a bit uncomfortable with the pronouncements regarding what role a fetish priest or priestess may have played. Yes, that is true. But even the arrest is only a first step towards unraveling the matter. Everybody deserves a fair hearing. And it is what we will do for anybody else who finds himself in such a situation. For that reason, these people too must be accorded the opportunity for a fair hearing so that we do not prejudice the outcome. In as much as we are all saddened and shocked by the gruesome act, it is important that everybody connected to this case has opportunity to state their case. That it is only the bare facts as is unraveled by the authorities involved in the investigation that determines the outcome of any further actions that have to be taken. Because sometimes public commentary and the way that it is situated could impact adversely. You have instances, and there have been instances where people have even been convicted even before the facts are unraveled. Again, I have seen pictures of these young men. Now, I recall that sometime in 2007, there was an incident involving two British teenagers who were alleged to have trafficked some cocaine or some other hard drug for that matter. And there was an insistence that Ghanaian law be applied. Indeed, anytime they went to court, their faces were covered And this was strictly enforced by the Ghanaian courts. So there are reports that one of the individuals involved is 16 years, which would make him a minor. The other one is either 17 or 18. He certainly qualifies as an adult. It is important that whatever procedures, protocols, whatever the law says should be done in this regard is done, irrespective of the gruesome circumstances of this particular case. Because if we don't do that, we will be creating exceptions that could create worrying consequences in future. It is important, even in the midst of the tragedy and sadness that has engulfed this particular case, to act properly so that we don't breach certain fundamental. There's a reason why these things are done, so that in the event that it is found that what they have been accused of is not entirely the case, they don't lose too much in terms of their personal dignity, their life, and what have their image and all that. It is extremely important. It's also important that they are handled properly. They are handled properly, and they are not abused because of what has happened. It is a principle that all of us must abide to, because it can happen to anybody. You can find yourself in trouble at any time, and the last thing you want is for the law to be sidestepped based on a certain reaction to the allegation that is leveled against you. That is extremely important. Now, Sena, there has also been talk about the influence of television and content and programming on these individuals. Again, I would urge that we also remain cautious in that regard, because it is true that television and media and what we hear or see can influence our behavior, but that has to be established clearly. I have even been unhappy about some of the things that the police themselves have been saying. They appear a bit prejudicial, and I would think that if they were investigating it, whereas I agree that they need to provide timely updates, they need to meet the public demand for information and all that, they themselves should be measured in what they say, so that they don't put out information that could jeopardize the very investigation that they are making. If what the gentleman did was influenced by television, it should be clear. The evidence must be adduced to that effect, so that we are all clear. It is true that there's worrying content on our television. Indeed, some of the things that are permitted on our television, they're extremely worrying. It's not only fetish priests and priestesses who have invaded our television. A lot of things happen. Even mainstream Christian programming has difficulties. You hear the language used by people who are supposed to be men of God, and it is so appalling, so vulgar, that you would be shocked and ask critical questions as to whether or not this is truly a man of God. All that is permitted. And in recent times, some of these individuals own television channels and stations that they use to propagate this. And some of the things they say, if what a fetish priest does or says on television can influence somebody to act in a certain way, surely preaching by a man of God can also influence what they do. But when you listen to some of the language that is used, very abusive, very vulgar language, sometimes you have conflict between two of them, and the exchanges that go on are so worrying that you begin to wonder whether there's any kind of regulation in this country. You look at some advertisements that are allowed to run, some programming by some radio stations, sometimes as early as 10 p.m. And 10 p.m. is relatively early. They have content of a sexual nature. Some of the graphics they use, some of the language, very vivid and unacceptable. So there's a lot that we need to do going forward to regulate the media space. Maybe this case provides opportunity for further conversation on the way forward in terms of regulating this content. And I would like to believe that the authorities who have responsibility for doing this will live up to expectation and use this as an opportunity to sanitize the space, so that whatever goes out there is wholesome, whatever goes out there is beneficial and does not influence society negatively. Because we have to bear in mind our own traditions and customs and what have you. Modernization is necessary. Freedoms must be granted. But it's also possible to weave together a system that takes into account our traditions, our customs, and our way of life that has served us well all these years. So the Kaswa incident is worrying. And in the wake of that, there have also been discussions That again I find worrying, because there has been an attempt to pigeonhole those who live in Kaswa these days and speak in ways to suggest that it's become a hub of crime and all that. Now we must separate the incidence of crime from the locality where it takes place. It is not that that is what that place is noted for. There are bad elements everywhere. Crime can be committed anywhere. On a daily basis, we hear of crimes being committed everywhere. I don't think that where crime is committed has anything to do with the crime per se. I hope you get the point I'm making. In recent times, when an incident occurred and it involves foreigners, we tended to focus more on where the person comes from. No, I won't go. Lalaya appears to be a very strict regulator of that. Maybe she should be regulating some of the content. We won't be having this. But the point is that we should avoid language and commentary that seeks to pigeonhole people and cast them in a certain light. If there's a security challenge that is emerging in Kaswa, it is incumbent on the relevant authorities to take action to stem that, as they would do anywhere that crime is said. But it should not be said that Kaswa has become synonymous with crime and make it seem like living there itself is a crime in and of itself. The tendency to do that is quite high, and we must check that. If crime is becoming a problem, then we need to question the methods that are being applied. What strategies can we evolve going forward to ensure that crime is reduced? What are the shortfalls? What is needed to be done there to ensure that we do not have some of these incidents? But I hope that everybody involved in this matter plays their role properly, that the investigation is fair, it is transparent, the court proceedings that would follow are also fair, they follow laid down rules and all that. I have been educated that because of the age of the people involved, even in the event that they are found guilty, they may not get the kind of sentence that you would expect an adult to get. Now, it is also important that that education seeps down, because the last thing you want is when a verdict has been passed in accordance with Ghanaian law, people express disappointment based on perhaps a lack of information on what the position should be, so that it is not said that the people have been favored over others, and it triggers a whole lot of reactions. Already there's been talk of vengeance. I've heard family members clearly out of anger and pain swear or vow to take vengeance on them if they don't get maximum sentence. It may be because they are unaware of what the situation is. So if it's also the case that we need to tweak our laws a bit to respond to contemporary needs and public perceptions and views, that must be done. But to the extent that that is what we have now, it is absolutely necessary that people hear or people get to know what the law says, so that if a certain verdict is passed, it is not interpreted as bending the law. Exactly. It is not interpreted as an effort to bend the law in favor of any particular individual or what have you. So once again, I would commiserate sincerely with the bereaved family, and I hope that our little brother finds rest in the bosom of the Lord.
Thank you very much, and our commiserations also go to the family. From us here at Pan African TV, Ishmael Mensah Abdallah, who has lost his life, and like somebody always says, that the media can sometimes have the attention span of a goldfish. The moment something new comes in, we are distracted and we forget what has happened. I'm hoping that we can keep up with this and ensure the right things are done for everybody involved, for Ishmael and for the two teenagers who are also involved here.
The point is that you can only cover the trial in the same way that you've covered all trials. I don't see how the media can filter.
No, but
what?
Like
No.
Yeah. I mean, what you said right now concerning the sentence.
Yes, it should be fair.
Do you get me? Because,
Yes.
for instance, in the US, something happened like that. An 11-year-old boy went to rob. I mean, there was a prom that they were going to. An 11-year-old boy went to rob an old woman, and the old woman, in an attempt to catch him, fell and hit her head and died. The boy was tried
As a minor.
as a minor, but when he was 18 years, they transferred him to an adult jail. He's still in jail up to today.
Yeah, but I'm sure that their law provides space.
That's what I'm
that.
saying. So
do we have the same arrangements?
No,
here?
but you see, that's why I'm saying that the media should educate people. The media should collaborate with the judiciary to educate people on some of these issues. Because for what I am talking about, it is out there in the public space. Because at a point, there was an advocacy to like get him out on parole. So the issue came up for discussion. So one of the things that the media should start talking about is what Felix is saying, that they cannot give them the same sentence like an adult. And it should come out for everybody to know.
And early enough.
Early enough. So that nobody will say that it's been manipulated. You know, Ghana, everything will sink into these two people, NDC, MPP.
No, I don't think that. Indeed, yesterday, the NDC received a statement.
No, I mean,
and we lent support
matter.
to the investigation. We condemned the incident, lent support to the investigation, and we look forward to a fair trial where the full facts are examined and whatever actions as prescribed by law are applied. Yes.
I don't think any of us politicize this particular topic. No.
It's just a
MPP
caution.
and DZ.
It's a straightforward.
A couple of your messages. Angelo Kojefiakwe says, for me, I will not blame Medress for anything. Let's blame our religious and the new governance systems into. Okay. In Ecclesiastes 10 verse 19, the Bible says money answers all things. The young guys might have taken their inspirations from that part of the Bible. Very interesting. Tafina here says, and honestly speaking, I don't care about which tribe leads any party in this country. What I care is to have someone who will make my life better so that I can take care of my family. And Sena, that is why I love my NDC, because in the NDC, this issue of where one comes from to lead the NDC doesn't arise at all. That's Tafina Maya who sent that one. Deep cool. Everybody to start a whole thing.
You can't lead the party. Can you imagine that?
But
But we always done. I don't think
Ishmael Old Traffic Light says a good morning to Sena and your fantastic panelists, especially Phyllis. Sena, what society are we building for our kids? I don't blame the teenagers for their barbaric act, but the government, because we are failed as a country. Sena, there are so many TV channels advertising quick cash, yet government upon government have looked on unconcerned. So-called celebrities and slay queens will appear half naked on national TV, and people see nothing wrong with their dressing. Sad for Ghana. Okay, thank you very much to Ishmael for that message. Let me just read a few messages from our Facebook page to close the show. Well, time is not. Dela Abdallah says, in Britain we have an institution called Independent Television Commission, that any advertisement that is to be broadcasted on TV and radio is checked well before broadcasting, so not to offend the public. That's from Dela. Thank you. Some more messages. Juliana Belinda Lamtiobre is saying security, defense, interior ministers, if any, where in the world, if it were anywhere in the world, will by now be sacked. Too much talk. Ibrahim Ahmed, all this is happening as part of unemployment and corruption. All these problems you have in Ghana is from that. Papa Ike is saying a good morning. In a nutshell, and from the analysis being made by George A.C., Bawumia is out of the race, and that Alan, who is an Akan from we all know will be the chosen one. MPP will never allow a not to lead them. You see, history will be made if that should happen. I'm not sure. So the police have to find and arrest the fetish rate, but still have found and arrested the fetish priest, but still the murderers of Ames Wale and JB Dankwa are still. I think JB Dankwa is the two people are being tried in relation to that matter. Mandula Rice says those in Sakawa boys committed an adult crime and must be treated as adults. If not, people will use the tactics to send young boys to do killings for them. And they have the brain of going into rituals to make money, not to be brilliant in school. With the DJ, very soon the MPP will come out and tell Ghanaians that they have more potholes in their regime than that of GM. Not a single day has gone by without GM not being mentioned. This is a clear sign of guilt and emptiness. GM silence is too loud for them to bear, and that's the best way to go about. Empty Quota says, okay, so there are a few messages. They're very, very short. And Habel Awuku Dadoto is, where's Dr. Baumia? Has he gone to explore Mars with rover that he can't fix his doomsday and economy? When you use cheap propaganda to win power, when that propaganda turns its ugly head on you, your voice will be lost. Abdurrahman says, okay, so thank you very much for those messages. Some of the messages are difficult to make a head in, but thank you for sending those messages that you sent. Well, that should do it for the show for today. Let me say, oh no, my time is up. Thank you.
That's a stickler for time.
Maybe we'll get opportunity. We'll talk that to you.
I've been asked to say a happy birthday to Sami Oku. I just found out today is his birthday. So happy birthday to Sami Oku, is national organizer of the New Patriotic Party. And that one is coming from KOD, who is the channel programs manager here at Pan-African. I guess I'm getting the title right. So happy birthday to you, Sami Oku. I would like to say congratulations to my colleague at Radio Gold, Peter Kumasata, who is getting married today. Congratulations to you. And also say welcome to Ghana to Rita and Peggy Abnadodo. Welcome. And I hope you're enjoying Ghana so far. My name is Sena Nombo. Thank you very much for making time to join us today. And this morning, we're in the studio, Felix Kwachofos, who is a former Deputy Minister of Communications. We also had Nana Yajantua, who is the General Secretary of the Convention People's Party. And we had George Eisi, who is Director of Communications at NADMO. I hope you didn't find the platform as hostile as you thought.
No, it was very liberal. Very liberal.
Then perhaps you were wrong.
No, maybe my psyche is also part of it.
Yeah.
You know, so,
Thank you.
When I listen from without, and when I was coming, I've psyched myself that whatever it is, I'm going to brace it.
Very uncomfortable truths are spoken here. So
is it?
That is,
but
truth is hostile.
Nobody's
thank God you admit that it's a liberal platform. Everybody is allowed to express their views. That's the ALHAJI.
I know the hostile time will come. When Uncle Pat is here, Felix is here, and then there's another.
Well, they're also expressing views. Well, thank you. And a big thank you to the crew here at Pan-African TV. We are back same time next week with another edition of the show. Enjoy your weekend and also have a fruitful week.
Africa's great song, Sergeant for Dr. Kroma.